Good evening. Tonight's whiskey review is going to be Highland Park 10-year-old single malt Scotch whiskey. Highland Park is a distillery that needs no introduction. I've been familiar with them for years, and I'm sure probably you have also. Highland Park is located in the Orkney Islands or Archipelago, the most northern distillery in Scotland. The only other distillery nearby, I think, is Scapa, which has a very different single malt style. I'm very familiar with Highland Park, as I said before, and probably the best 12-year-old single malt Scotch in that category is produced by Highland Park. Right here. Beautiful stuff, complex, aromatic peat, as they say, sherried, but really a rich tapestry of flavors. Love Highland Park 12, never tire of it. It's been consistent year to year. Can't say enough about it. 43% alcohol by volume, no chill filtration, and no artificial color. Now, I do love Highland Park. I love the 18-year-old, the 21-year-old, the 25-year-old. Haven't tried a lot of their new releases with this Norse marketing, Dark Origins or whatever. Haven't bought a bottle, and what I've tried, sometimes it's really good, sometimes not so impressed. I did love the Highland Park 15-year-old, which was aged primarily in American oak. Very good stuff. And that is a segue into tonight's whiskey, Highland Park 10-year-old. The 10-year-old whiskey is primarily, the wood management is American oak. So it's sherry casks using American oak, as opposed to the 12-year-old, which is sherry casks using European oak, Oloroso sherry, Spanish oak. The American oak imparts a different flavor, and we see that again in the 15-year-old, which has since been discontinued, but was an amazing whiskey, in my opinion. The marketplace didn't agree. And I think part of the problem with the 15-year-old was it might have been priced too closely to the 18-year-old, and consumer habits naturally gravitated towards buying the slightly more expensive for like $5 or $10 more. The 15-year-old is gone. Now for American aged oak wood management by the distillery, it's the 21-year-old. So let's start with the 10-year-old. Actually, it's the one we're going to review tonight. 40% alcohol by volume, not 43%. The format is 750 milliliters. And no artificial coloring. Highland Park at one time did do artificial coloring, but that was quite some time ago, like 15 years ago. They have since discontinued that practice. So this whiskey is not really marketed or to be understood as kind of the younger brother or sister to Highland Park 12. Highland Park 12 is sherried, and sherry, you're going to get more sherry in the 18. This is compared to, say, the 21-year-old or the previously the discontinued 15-year-old American oak. So on the nose, it's a very light nose. You're picking up banana. You're definitely oak, sea air. Excuse me. I had a bad cough there. Some citrus notes. A wee bit of peat, but not a lot. The nose is light, unsophisticated, not bad, but not ringing my bell. Now on the palate, undiluted. The body is light, thin body. I taste wide planks of American oak. It's very oaky. Granny Smith apples, grapes. There is some citrus. I can't even say truthfully there's any honey here. What you're left with on the finish is minty. more oak, to the point of almost becoming like rubbing alcohol, just a little bit. It's reminiscent of wasabi, if you eat sushi or know Japanese cuisine. And wasabi in not the greatest of ways. Kind of a hint of ouzo or arak, black licorice liqueur that you might be familiar with in the Middle East. Again, not in a good way. The finish is pencil lead. Some smoke. Not great smoke. A cheap $1 cigar. Maybe even a matinee cigarette or a menthol cigarette. As you can tell, I'm not enjoying this. And when I reviewed this, I opened the bottle and I sampled it over a couple of weeks. And I'm not impressed. I reviewed it back in 2014. Was not impressed. And my tasting notes then and now are identical. You're getting a light, thin body, oak on the palate, banana, Granny Smith apples. There's supposed to be some sherry in here, but it's really light. It's really weak. There's some peat. This whiskey is too young, and I'm disappointed. And I think Edrington, who own the Highland Park distillery, have released this whiskey, and they shouldn't have. They should have aged it a little bit longer. Just going to try it with a little bit of water. I know what happens with water, but I'm going to remind myself in front of you. The water doesn't make it better. Maybe more grapefruit now. That oak becomes even bigger. Not in a good way. Highland Park 10, don't buy. What you want to do, step up, man up, and buy the 12. The 12, oh, great nose. A nose of sea air and sherry. Red licorice, velvet, saddle leather. Complexity, red fruit, sherry, more leather. A much better whiskey. Highland Park 10, take a pass. It needs more time. It should be the 15. This Highland Park 12 is what you want to opt for. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.